played to win, directed traffic, hit every ball. Just so impressive, Kevin. They should have given her the trophy at the start. I mean, if they knew what was going to follow, it was just, I guess it was a dream performance that there's few and far between in your career. I spoke about
giving Sabalenka little opportunity to respond. And Sabalenka's feelings took over, as was to be expected. And we witnessed her start crying, which attracted everyone's attention. Was the loss the only thing at stake, though? Or did that emotional outburst stem from something more? It's critical to realize that respect in sports is earned. Sabalenka was frantically trying to get the acknowledgement she believed she was due as a finalist at that very moment. Let's now examine Sabalenka's reasons for crying throughout the final and the significance of this defeat for her. To ensure you never miss an update on the WTA world, please hit the like button and subscribe to Asalytics before we proceed.
Yeah, I guess I'm getting old. I'm getting really sensitive. Yeah, so many things to be proud of. And yeah, thank you guys.
Following the game, Aryna Sabalenka broke down in tears as she spoke on the microphone about her sentiments. She attempted to explain it away as her age-related sensitivity. However, we all know in our hearts that it goes beyond simply being more sentimental. It's more about getting attention, which is no longer effective, particularly after the WTA Finals. Everyone was able to see the truth about Sabalenka. She is not the serene, peaceful person she presents herself as. Rather, she is envious of other people's achievements. Her interactions have undoubtedly been impacted by her impatience and fury, which has even caused her to upset her own colleagues on multiple occasions. Elena Rybakina dominated the court from beginning to end, making the final an exciting sight. Rybakina was unfazed, in contrast to her prior encounter with Coco, in which Sabalenka tried to scare and shout her to build a commanding lead. That was a turning moment in Sabalenka's life because she was unable to handle Rybakina's unrelenting game due to the mounting mental strain. At that point, it was obvious that Rybakina would not allow her to win. While Sabalenka became more and more irritated with the way the game was going, Rybakina played with unshakable confidence. She made multiple attempts to regain control, but it was never going to be simple, particularly against an opponent who had improved her game through pure poise and mental toughness. After a thrilling second set, Sabalenka was unable to maintain her composure during the tiebreaker and ended up on the losing side, utterly devastated. Sabalenka's customary drama took center stage following the game. She sobbed on the bench in front of her teammates, behaving like a young girl who was unable to cope with the defeat. She grumbled about the game, saying she had been mistreated, but the reality was obvious. At every point, Rybakina outplayed her. Sabalenka was clearly frustrated because she found it difficult to acknowledge that Rybakina was just a superior player. The truth persisted in spite of her passionate reaction. Rybakina gave a much better performance. And Sabalenka found it quite challenging to accept that loss.
directed traffic, hit every ball. Just so impressive, Kevin.
Yeah, and for Aryna Sabalenka, you can see how demoralized.
Sabalenka, unable to accept her loss, spoke to the final from the podium. Rather than thinking back on the game or praising Rybakina's performance, she started crying and attempted to defend her emotional response by saying she was growing older and more perceptive. These justifications, meanwhile, were unable to conceal the reality. It was obvious that Sabalenka was envious of Rybakina's achievements. Her attempt to minimize the defeat only served to highlight her annoyance and incapacity to accept being outplayed with grace. Everyone seeing could see the scenario as it actually was. Let's examine Sabalenka's level of sensitivity in more detail. She had already met trouble if this is what Sabalenka considers sensitive. Her behavior during that match actually presents a whole different image. She was employing strategies to try to control and dominate her opponent rather than being sensitive at all. She was obviously lying about how she felt. During her fight against Coco Gauff, Sabalenka's actions quickly got out of control as she started yelling loudly and intimidating her opponent. When her coach, Anton Dubrov, confronted her on the court and questioned her behavior, things took a different turn. Rather than dealing with it coolly, Sabalenka yelled back at Dubrov. When Dubrov, obviously irritated, stepped up from his position in the stands during the game to express his dissatisfaction, things became much more heated. Many people criticized Sabalenka's contempt for Gauff after this incident, which attracted a lot of attention. However, Dubrov's audacious response was what truly brought to light the underlying conflict between Sabalenka and Coco Gauff.
Yeah, I went a bit too much. I was so frustrated inside of me, and I was just like trying to let it go. Probably I went too far, not probably I went too far. And then honestly, I think it was the right move from him to probably like just let me be on my own. And I don't want to say the way I wanted to say, but he really upset me, and I was really really stressed and angry on him, and that really helped me to pull out such tennis.
However, Aryna didn't end there. She shocked everyone by publicly making fun of her own coach at the post-match interview. She acknowledged that she had yelled at him in the heat of the moment and claimed that he was holding her back. Instead of accepting accountability for her actions, she placed the blame on him, suggesting that he was attempting to undermine her strategy. Many were shocked by this maneuver, particularly as she showed little regard for a coach who was only asking her to respect her opponent, Coco Gauff, whom she has had difficulty defeating on several occasions. She turned against the person who was attempting to mentor her rather than realizing how important it was to respect her opponents.
To pull out such tennis.
Well, and as a player, I can completely understand that. It's
as a player, you can understand, but probably coaches can also understand, Anton, you know?
But we don't care about the coaches right now. We care about the player. The player is always...
Sabalenka had previously behaved in this manner. She had previously acted in a similar manner towards Gavin McMillan, her former coach. McMillan ended their relationship by walking away from Sabalenka while remaining professional after she vented her rage on him. After Sabalenka sacked McMillan due to a disagreement during a game, Coco Gauff made the calculated decision to sign him to her squad. Gauff's choice to hire McMillan was viewed as a wise one since it demonstrated her capacity to make thoughtful, respectful career decisions, something Sabalenka found difficult.
Partnership, but I'm just looking at long term, and I know Gavin has had experience with this before, so hoping that I can just take on his knowledge and see what can happen.
In conclusion, Aryna Sabalenka's behavior throughout her career, especially in the WTA Finals, shows that she is a very narcissistic and self-centered player. Her will to succeed is evident, but it frequently comes at the expense of respect for her rivals and those in her immediate vicinity. Sabalenka is a player who is fixated on her own success but refuses to recognize the efforts and achievements of others, as evidenced by her actions against Coco Gauff, her own coach, and her emotional collapse following the finals defeat. A habit of self-absorption is evident in her hostile outbursts towards her instructors and her propensity to intimidate opponents, as she did with Gauff. When things don't go her way, she lashes out instead of thinking back on her performance or admitting her opponent's advantages. After losing in the championship game, she sobbed for more than just the setback. It was an obvious example of her incapacity to accept failure with grace. Sabalenka ignored her rival Elena Rybakina, who obviously outperformed her, and instead concentrated only on her own emotions, offering justifications for her actions and placing the blame elsewhere. Her narcissistic characteristics accept failure with dignity are just as crucial as the actual victory. Her own selfishness and lack of emotional development will continue to impede her road to ultimate achievement until she understands the need of humility and respect. What are your thoughts on all of this? Do you think Sabalenka's actions are just due to her competitive personality? Or is it a more serious problem including narcissism and disrespect for other people? What are your thoughts on her emotional outbursts and the way she handles her opponents and coaches? Is her desire to win overshadowing her capacity for humility and sportsmanship? Most importantly, do you believe that these activities will have a long-term impact on her career, or will her brilliance be sufficient to propel her forward? Your ideas and opinions on this would be greatly appreciated. Remember to subscribe to our channel for additional updates on the WTA and other related topics.